Hey guys, Eckhart Slaughter here. Hello and welcome to another episode of Star Wars Starship Versus, the series where we take two ships in the Star Wars universe, put them head to head, and try to predict which one would come out on top. Before we get started, I just want to give a brief fundraising update. If you guys aren't interested in watching this, just skip ahead like a minute or two, you can get right into the content. So, as I'm sure some of you guys know, I'm raising money to try to upgrade my hardware for recording so I can make better videos for you guys. If you guys want to see my current setup, you can take a look at my second channel, X2, where I've posted kind of like a little walkthrough for you guys. But I've officially raised enough money to buy a new and upgraded microphone, which is great, and I think my videos will really improve with upgraded sound quality. With a bit more money, I should be able to buy a more advanced computer, and I can do a bit better editing and export my videos in 1080p, which I know you guys ask for all the time. If you want to donate, you can go to gofundme.com/EckhartSlaughter or click the link that I'm going to put down in the description. If you donate $20 or more, I'll make any of your Starship Versus ideas into a video and publish it on this channel. So since last time we got a donation from Perfect Dude, thank you very much, Perfect Dude. I really appreciate your donation and your very nice comment. We also got a donation and another nice message from Austin. Thank you very much, Austin. We got a second donation from Nolan K. Dinger, who said that I pronounced his name properly last time, which I really appreciate, and he also gave us a good suggestion for a future matchup. Then finally, my most recent donation was from Joe King, who asked how many Super Star Destroyers it would take to defeat the Death Star, and I wasn't really sure. Maybe 10? Could be a good idea for a video in the future. Regardless, thank you very much, Joe. Alright, so today is a very special episode of Star Wars Starship Versus for a couple of reasons. The first is because we're not actually looking at starships, we're looking at two vehicles that are ground-based, two walkers, so to speak. The second is because, as you guys seem to really enjoy, we're doing a cross-universe matchup. Specifically today, we're going to take the Type 47 Scarab from Halo as it appears in, for example, Halo 3, and put it against the AT-AT. This has been suggested by a few different people, most recently by my friend David DJ Johnson, who helps me out with my channel, and he thought it was a good idea. He suggested it to me on Twitter, so thanks, David. So, as always, we're going to be comparing these two vehicles in several categories: firepower, defensive capabilities, and then also intangibles. But, as you guys know, it's not a race to see which walker wins more categories. We're seeing which one is better overall. Also, we are going to assume that the two walkers are piloted by equally skilled persons, but they will have their usual complement of either Covenant forces or stormtroopers. Alright, so let's start with offensive capabilities, and we'll look first at the Type 47 Scarab. And I just want to say for clarification that we're looking at the Type 47B Dutoros model. This is the more common one and the one you see in Halo 3 and in the other Halo games. So the Type 47 was very large. At 38.7 meters tall, it was quite a machine of destruction, and it was armed as such. Its main weapon was a large energy projector attached to its head. Sometimes this was called a focus cannon, but if you think of what a Covenant energy projector would be like on a capital ship, you get an idea of what the main weapon would be like. Now, this weapon was very powerful. However, it had to be recharged, and it was quite slow. Along with that, the effective range wasn't very long, and the weapon started to lose power after about 650 meters. The Scarab also had an ultra-heavy plasma cannon on the top of the craft, which was typically used in an anti-aircraft role. However, I see no reason why this couldn't target other large vehicles. In addition, the ship would have also had 3 mounted plasma cannons, which wouldn't have really been effective against anything larger than infantry or a very small vehicle. A single Scarab is very deadly. I mean, we see in Halo 2 just how much damage one can do running amok through the streets of New Mombasa. And I mean, it's supposedly so deadly that Master Chief takes time out of his very busy day to take one down, so it's obviously a very large, very offensive-minded threat. On the other side, we have the all-terrain armored transport, the AT-AT, one of the most fearsome weapons of the Empire. The armaments on this walker are completely different than those on the Scarab. Its main weapons are 2 heavy blaster cannons on its chin, and then 2 medium blaster cannons on its temples. The medium cannons seem to fire very quickly, but aren't super powerful. I mean, several snowspeeders take shots from them and continue flying. On the other hand, the double blasters on the chin do seem to be quite powerful. I mean, we see it shred Hoth's shield generator in one shot when fired at maximum power. I will say though, the fact that all of the weapons are on its head is a bit of a disadvantage. I mean, it means that it can only fire where the head is facing, which can be troublesome given that's also where the cockpit is. We do see something similar with the Scarab. The main weapon is on the front of the vehicle. However, it's piloted from a different location, and there are secondary guns which can fire in 360 degrees. If you think about it, the AT-AT is a weapon which seems like it's supposed to be placed and then driven in a straight line towards its target. target. So when you keep that in mind, the weapon placement does kind of make sense. And I will say too, there's also a shot during the Battle of Hoth where an AT-AT basically snipes a snowspeeder out of the air. That's pretty impressive speed. Still, while the weaponry does seem to be very powerful and it shoots fairly quickly, I think it is a bit limited. So I'm going to give this category to the Scarab. So next we have defensive capabilities, and both of these vehicles are intended to be essentially impervious to small arms fire. In Halo 2, we hear a Marine say, "It blew right through us, 50 cal, rockets, didn't do a thing." We also see a Scarab walk right through a building like it's nothing. During the Battle of Hoth, we hear that the AT-AT is essentially also impervious to laser fire from the snowspeeders. I think what it really comes down to here is which vehicle has the worst weak points. The Scarab has a few weak points, and the first is that its legs can be relatively easily disabled with concentrated fire, although perhaps only temporarily disabled. Also, the heavy gun on the top is much weaker than the rest of the Scarab and can be destroyed. Finally, if a ship can get to the back of the Scarab, many critical components are exposed and it can be easily destroyed. The AT-AT is heavily armored and a bit more rigid than the Scarab. It really only has two weak points, the first being its neck and the second being its underbelly. It is, of course, also susceptible to being tripped, but I don't really think that will come into play in this battle. I think both of these vehicles are exceptionally well armored, with a couple of weak points, so I'm going to give this one a tie. Alright, so let's look at intangibles, and there are a few that I'd like to mention here. The first is that the Scarab is much taller than the AT-AT. When standing straight up, the standard Type 47 Scarab is 38.7 meters tall, while the AT-AT is only 20 meters tall. This could cause some problems for the Imperial Walker, especially where its targeting range is limited by the movement of its head. The second thing I want to mention is troop complement. Both the Scarab and the AT-AT carry troops on board. However, given that they would have to stop and unload to actually have the troops enter the battle, I don't really think they're going to play any sort of role. The Scarab would also have some Covenant manning the smaller guns, but I don't really think that those are going to be in any way effective against the very well-armored AT-AT. Finally, and probably the most important thing here in my mind, is speed and maneuverability, and the Scarab has a big advantage here. The Scarab is faster than the AT-AT in a couple of ways. It has a higher maximum speed, and I imagine the maximum speed listed for the AT-AT at 60 kilometers per hour is only when it's marching straight forward, and it's much more maneuverable. I mean, the AT-AT can only really easily move forward. The Scarab, because of its joints, can move laterally almost as quickly as it can back and forth. And I mean, we see Scarabs climbing buildings, very quickly maneuvering rough terrain. They're very obviously quite mobile. I think that's a good place to transition into the battle. So, a Scarab and an AT-AT face off in a one-on-one head-to-head. Which one wins? So, the only way the AT-AT can win this battle is if it's able to effectively destroy or disable the Scarab before the Covenant ship moves out of its range. And I do think that that's what the first thing the Scarab is going to do. Start moving laterally, very quickly get out of the range of the AT-AT's main guns. Can the Imperials disable the Covenant craft before that? I'm not really sure, and I don't think so. The Scarab's only real weak point is its legs, and the pilot of the AT-AT is not going to know that, and even if it did, it would be very difficult to target the legs from a far distance while the craft is moving. I think the Scarab is going to tank most of the shots while scuttling and also charging its main weapon. Its main weapon, the heavy focus cannon, I do think will be more effective against the AT-AT than the AT-AT's lasers against the Scarab. With the concentrated beam fired through the focus cannon, it will be able to almost immediately do serious damage to the walker if it hits a critical part, like its legs or its neck. Regardless, even if it isn't able to disable it immediately, I think it will have moved laterally out of range of the walker. The walker can itself try to turn to keep its guns on the Scarab, but I just think that the Scarab is a lot quicker. While it's moving, it will continue firing with its main weapon and its anti-aircraft weapon, because although the AT-AT is quite a bit smaller, I think it will still be in range of both of those guns. In the end, I do think that the continued fire of the focus cannon, which admittedly does need time to be recharged, will eat away at the AT-AT, and I think a smart Scarab pilot would even try to shoot the beam across the walker's legs, and I do think that would probably cut through the relatively thin steel. Ultimately though, even if the Scarab wasn't as well armed as the AT-AT, it has an enormous size and speed advantage. Both of these things will be used to just get out of the way of the AT-AT's weapons and slowly chip away at its very thick armor. So I give this battle to the Covenant's Type 47 Scarab, and I think it wins probably 8 times out of 10. Really, the only chance that the Empire has is if it can actually shred the Scarab with just 1 or 2 shots of the heavy weapon. While I think that the Empire's heavy lasers are quite powerful, I just don't think that they're powerful enough to completely penetrate the armor of the Scarab in just a few shots. But those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think. Take a second right now to vote in the upper right hand corner. Let me know who you think would win this battle. Also, of course, let me know down in the comments. Tell me if I missed something, if I made a mistake, or if you think I did a good job with my analysis. Also, don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure to suggest a matchup for next video, and I usually take the highest rated comments and make them into proper videos. So if you see something that you like, make sure to give it a thumbs up and a supporting comment. If you want to help the channel out, please give this video a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Also, of course, follow me on Twitter at Eckhart's Ladder, and join the super fun Discord. There's a link in the description. If you want to help me continue to improve my video quality, you can also donate on my GoFundMe page at gofundme.com/Eckhart'sLadder. Thank you very much for watching, guys. As always, may the Force be with you.